guys, welcome to Talk Crypto. This is the first of its type of video that I'm trying to do. This is the first video. I'm supposed to have some guests on. As usual, first ones are always a bit of a disaster. But hey, listen, we've got to get it out there. We've got to start doing stuff, make things happen. I'm really excited to be doing this and doing this live. You know, this is unfiltered. Had some last minute hiccups with the setup, echoey sounds and all sorts of issues. But hey, listen guys, if any of you want to do video, just get it out there, because what you'll see from this first video to the 100th, when we get there, is going to be very, very different. We're going to have lots of guests on. We want to have a lot of interaction with you guys. Not just in the chat, we're going to set it up so you can come into like a virtual green room, and we'll have some guests. We're talking about a topic, and if you feel passionate about it, you can jump in and join the conversation. Tell us why we're right, why we're wrong, why we need to learn more about a particular project or some sort of area. And it's all about community engagement. And I'm really excited to start Talk Crypto and get it out there for you guys. Just a bit of background for those who are interested. I was very much sort of thinking about, I won't get into the long and short of my history, but very, very briefly, came from financial services, started developing a marketing and software development agency, and long story short, been in sort of crypto since late 2020, and enjoyed that bull run in 2021, and we're obviously experiencing a bit of pain since then. But excited to still be in this space, share with you sort of some of the insights of my journey. But in particular, Talk Crypto is just a bit of a chat, grabbing a beer, almost like you're talking to your mates, chatting crypto and having all those fun sort of conversations. Now, what I'm going to be doing is going to be getting some of my friends on as soon as I can sort of drag their sorry asses out to do it. But also, any of you guys, if you want to come on the show, we'd love to have you on board. I've reached out to a few sort of people, small channels on YouTube and Twitter and things like that. So, and some bigger ones as well, just to stay. But no doubt, we've got to start small, and as they say, small acorns. But today, like I said, it's about Talk Crypto. I'm not interviewing or talking to anybody, unfortunately. I can't see any guests coming to join me. But listen, what I want to do is just talk about some news. Talk about what's going on. Let's turn this music down a bit. I thought that was a bit of fun. I hope you like this sort of setup. And if any of you are watching, just put some comments in. Let's hear from you, and hit the like. Look at that! Whoa! Subscribe. Got it. Look at this. It's all technical. I'm trying to talk and press buttons at the same time. And obviously comment. This is all about you guys. And listen, I know stuff, but I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. For me, within this sort of crypto space, I try and keep things really, really simple. I'm not a techie guy. And obviously there's a lot of tech talk, also, economic talk, and I find all the economic, macroeconomic side of things really, really interesting. I studied that at university, along with politics and history. But ultimately, I like to keep things quite simple and not overcomplicate it. And I think that's my whole ethos. I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert in any particular field. I might have a view, I might have an opinion, but what I will do is, if there's certain points where it's worthwhile getting an expert in, to talk about a particular topic, I'm going to be delighted to invite some particular guests in, whether it's talking about specific projects, DeFi, the economy, all that type of stuff. Very much looking to sort of bring that knowledge in and share it with you guys. So really, come and have a beer, hang out with me. I'm going to be doing this Monday to Friday. And weekends, I'm afraid not at the moment. We've got a family to look after. But otherwise, let's just have a chat. Let's dive into it. And let's see what's happening. I can't get rid of these buttons now, can I? Here we go. Right. So, one of the big stories has got to be the SBF trial. I mean, I, like many others, was stung with the FTX and all the rest of it. It was through was it BlockFi? I can't remember off the top of my head, but obviously when it all went tits up, it had a cascading effect to all the other sort of businesses that are out there in the space. But let's just dive into it. Let's have a look at what the latest news. SBF trial underway. Mashinsky trial set. Mashinsky, man, he was an absolute snake. I mean, both were, weren't they? SBF. I mean, there's this guy who's putting himself out there as some, multi-billionaire. I just drive a Toyota Yaris or whatever the hell it was, and just saying money doesn't matter to me. Crazy hair. I mean, the thing is, the amount of people who were sucking into that, including myself to a certain extent, you just think, man, and for a fact that all the corporations play this type of nonsense game, and he was playing that game, and he admitted it on some of the Twitter threads that sort of came out after it all blew up. And we all, not everybody obviously, but so many people fell for that type of image that he wanted to portray. And I think, if anything, although the SBF thing has been a disaster in many respects, people lost a lot of money. Ultimately, hopefully it's made us all stronger as a community and a bit more wiser to these types of characters who try and sort of play the game and string us along and manipulate the situation. So hopefully we'll all be a bit more wiser and older to those situations. Mashinsky, again, he was a character blatantly, publicly telling people, it was safe and all the rest of it. And there were some big YouTubers out there who I follow who got sucked into it as well. One of the great channels that I love to watch is Digital Asset News. Definitely, if you're new to crypto, check it out. He's a great guy. But there were so many people who conned and all the rest of it from his actions. Ultimately, using other people's money to pay other people. The classic Ponzi scheme. But let's have a look at this. Let's dive into this. So we've got the SBF trial underway, Mashinsky trial set, Binance market share shrinks. Yeah, does that matter? Not really. It's Binance side of things. There's a lot of hate out there for Binance, just to quickly sort of touch on that. A lot of people want to see Binance sort of collapse and all the rest of it. I'm not quite sure why. I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. To me, ZZ seems to be doing a cracking job. He seems to be fighting for the community. He seems to be wanting to do good and help the ecosystem and help the adoption. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. Why is Binance, why is ZZ sometimes portrayed as a bad character? Are the other exchanges like FTX, when they're all sort of going down, were they just trying to sort of blame things on him for some sort of reason? Was there something else that was going on? Let me hear what you got to think. Would love to know. Let's have a look at the stories. So let's dive into it. So, I mean, this is, this guy could be going down for a long time. So let's have a look. So opening arguments began in Sam Bankman-Fried trial, SBF trial. The trial of former FTX CEO Sam SBF Bankman-Fried fraud kicked off on October the 4th in New York after jury selection began the previous day. Assistant United States Attorney Thane Rain told jurors that SBF used FTX customer funds to enrich himself and gain credibility among politicians through donations. Like, that's never happened before. The defendant blamed the downturn in the crypto market, but he had committed fraud. That is what the evidence in this trial will show. You'll hear from his inner circle. His girlfriend will tell you how they stole money together. Rain said. SBF's attorney Mark Cohen said the girlfriend, former Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison, and Changpeng Zhao, CEO of rival cryptocurrency exchange Binance, share some of the blame for the downfall of FTX. So that's interesting. So we can maybe dive into that a little bit in a bit. Now, Alex Mashinsky's trial scheduled for September 2024. Are you kidding me? Oh, man, that's a year. That's just under a year away. We're in October 23. So September 24 will be 6 months probably after the halving or so, and the market's probably going to be on a bit of a buzz. That's interesting, isn't it? You know, is that going to be sort of news that everyone's not going to be that bothered about come September 2024 when prices are going up and everyone's just sort of having a great time? Interesting. Hey, let me know if you guys know why it takes so long for things to go to trial. I mean, surely they've got him, they've arrested him, or he's on bail, or whatever it is. So why is it taking this long? Is it because they need the time to get all the evidence together? Yeah, if there's any lawyers out there, let me know. I'd love to hear it. So let's hear it. So Alex Mashinsky, former CEO of crypto lender Celsius, will be tried on charges of fraud and market manipulation in September 24. The judge decided on October the 3rd, Mashinsky will remain free on 40 million bail, subject to travel and financial restrictions. And I wonder where he got the 40 million from. Do you think he earned that money before he started Celsius? I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong. So let's have a look. Celsius filed for bankruptcy in July 22, and Mashinsky was arrested in July of this year. He is accused of defrauding investors out of billions of dollars. The United States Commodity Futures Trading Commission, Securities and Exchange Commission, and Federal Trade Commission. That's a lot of commissions there. All have active suits against Mashinsky as well. Former Celsius Chief Revenue Officer Ronnie Cohen-Pavin pleaded guilty to 4 criminal charges in September. Really, really interesting. Yeah, where did he get that 40 million to pay the bail? That's what I want to know. Not to worry about this. Binance spot market dropped share for 7th consecutive month. Fine, whatever. So obviously the other exchanges get a bit more of the pie. Yeah, it's all good. It's competition. Alameda sent 4.1 billion of FTT tokens to FTX before crash. Yeah, okay, fine. Valkyrie backtracks on Ether futures contract. Yeah, fine. Well, let's dive into the old SBF, because I think that is going to be quite interesting. Let's see if I can just do this while we fiddle around. There we go. Back to me. Have a beer. Oh, I need that after getting this set up. Have we got any comments coming through? Come on. Post a comment. Come on. Say hello. I want to post a comment. Say hello. It's literally going to be nobody watching this. It's hilarious. I'm literally talking to myself. But hey, like I said, small acorns. And excited to be doing this. And ultimately, guys, the thing for me was I was thinking about this, all the format and all the rest of it, and I love interviews, and I love getting deep on the subjects, and here we go, and but ultimately, I just thought, the crypto space needs something a bit more fun, a bit more relaxed. The crypto space is sometimes it's so boring. I mean, I listen to, a lot of really great people, both in podcasts and YouTubes. Often you listen to the YouTubes just through the audio, for example, if I'm driving. But some of it gets so techie, and I thought, do we need another techie, another, person who sort of pretends that they know all, or, even a philosophical sort of perspective, which actually I find really interesting, and I do like those sort of perspectives. I thought, what? I just want to have fun, hang out with some friends. I've got some friends all over, well, a few friends luckily, a few dotted around the world and around the country, and if I can sort of drag them on, it's an opportunity for me to hang out with them. Also, an opportunity for me to make new friends. Crypto is very much a worldwide phenomenon, and an opportunity to meet and connect and network with some great people. So, obviously, the only way to do that is by getting yourself out there, and you never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to get to know. So, I thought the format would be cool, just to chat, and take it easy, have a beer, have a chat, talk about what's going on. And like I said, bring on people who are real experts rather than me pretending that I am. And I'm never going to do that for you guys. So this is, this is where we're at. So what's going on with SBF? Here we go. So who's this? So thanks, Cointelegraph, for this little article. So Sam, and in particular, shout out to Anna Paula Pereira. Cheers, Anna. So Sam Bankman-Fried fraud goes on trial. We can review. So what have we got here? So what's Anna got to say? So luxury real estate. Oh man, this is just a crazy. Sorry, I was just about to read it. It's just a crazy story, isn't it? If you just, I mean, this is going to be a Netflix documentary about this, isn't it? You know, and there was one of the partners, one of the founders. I don't know if you guys know the story, and I know I'm sort of going off on a bit of a tangent, but like I said, we're hanging out, having a beer, having a chat, talking about a bit of the news. Shame I haven't got any other guests with me to bounce off. Let me just check there's no one in the chat. No, the person who's supposed to come in hasn't come, but no worries. There's this crazy story about one of the founders, literally when it all blew up. I'll find out his name. We'll dig a little bit deeper and share this, get a bit more information for you guys. Basically, he bought a yacht with all this money that was just sloshing around in their bank account. And as soon as it kicked off, by all accounts, he got on the yacht and has never been seen since. It's almost like something out of a James Bond movie. So he's probably floating around in neutral territorial waters where there's no US extradition sort of rights where he can just, you know, escape the world. So he's floating around. I don't know where. I'd love to know maybe where these extradition sort of spots could be, but you know, I can do some digging. And he's just literally disappeared off the face of the earth. So there's a moral of the story. If you want to escape, get a big boat and just disappear somewhere. So interesting. But let's dive back into this story. Right, what have we got here? So luxury real estate, political donations, investments, and magazine covers. 1 year ago, that was the life of Sam Bankman-Fried. Assistant United States Attorney Thane Rain remarked during the opening statement of the world's most famous crypto trial. All of it was built on lies, Rain continued, claiming that the co-founder of Alameda Research and FTX lied to the world to get richer and increase influence by lobbying in Washington, D.C. Rain's statement apparently affected even Bankman-Fried's defense counsel, who responded with a lukewarm remark. His attorney, Mark Cohen, portrayed his client as an entrepreneur who made mistakes during times of accelerated growth. There was no theft, he told jurors. Is incompetence with billions of pounds, is that an excuse, or was that actually planned and deliberate? I guess this is what they're going to be finding out. In the gallery, among journalists and attorneys, were Joseph Bankman and Barbara Freud, the defendant's parents. While Joseph occasionally smiled over the last few days, Barbara gazed at her son in the courtroom for hours. This week, 4 witnesses testified in the trial at the United States District Court, the Southern District of New York in Manhattan. The list includes a French trader, an FTX investor, as well as Adam Yedidier. Sorry, Adam, I can't say your surname right. Adam Yedidier and Gary Wang, former close friends of Bankman-Fried. Mark Juilliard. All right, so what's this? I've got to say, the prosecutor's first witness was a coca trader from Paris, currently living in London. Mark Juilliard was one of the victims of the FTX, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Right, just blah goes on a bit. I mean, it seriously goes on. I'm probably going to bore you to death reading all this. Gary Wang. Once co-founders of 2 prominent companies, Wang and Bankman-Fried, found themselves on opposite sides of the courtroom this week. I'm here because I committed wire fraud, securities fraud, and commodities fraud, Wang told jurors, adding that he had also engaged in conspiracy along Bankman-Fried, former Alameda CEO Caroline Ellison, and Rishi Singh, the former director of engineering at FTX. Isn't it really interesting how these guys are, I mean, literally just saying, yeah, I committed fraud, and so did this guy who's actually saying that he didn't. It's just nuts, isn't it, when you think about it? You work, your colleagues that you're working with for years, you've known each other for a while, and just completely throw them under the bus. Now the question is, are they expecting more leniency in terms of their prosecution? When is their prosecution? When are they facing justice? When are they facing court? Don't know. But it's pretty powerful, isn't it? In terms of the case, when you've got you literally have got the people you're working with at the very top, not sort of subordinates, but literally, the other CEOs, the senior management team, literally say, yes, we committed fraud. What can you say to that? I don't know. And it's going to be interesting. I don't know how long this case is due to go on for, but it's absolutely nuts. But you just wonder, has he got a leg to stand on? Let's just dive back into this a bit. Here we go. Wang is considered a key witness in the case. His examination by prosecutors started on October 5th and should conclude on October the 10th. That's interesting. So that's today. So this is the latest I've got, so we'll see. As the second week of the trial begins, Wang offered a deeper look at how FTX and Alameda operated under Bankman-Fried's direction. In 2019, a few months after FTX was founded, Alameda was granted special privileges from FTX accounts of Wang. Based on screenshots of the FTX database and code on GitHub, prosecutors showed Alameda had an unlimited negative balance, a 65 billion special line of credit, and exemption from liquidation. Bankman-Fried's defense counsel argued that these privileges were similar to ones received by other market makers on FTX. The defense also sorry, he's kidding me? Are you seriously kidding me? So he's saying, yeah. So basically, they've got a line of credit, just basically unlimited. There's no issues. There's an unlimited amount of resources that Alameda have got access to, and he's saying that the other, that other businesses which were nothing to do with him, there were companies that were probably paying for his services and access to liquidity or whatever it was. Again, I've got no idea. But ultimately, other businesses, other companies had the same sort of access privileges as Alameda in terms of their, liquidity and access to capital. Forget it. Are you serious? I mean, just that statement on its own just sounds ridiculous. Clearly, Alameda and FTX were one of the same thing. I mean, whichever way you cut it, it's just it's almost comical. You think, are these lawyers just there to waste time? Well, I guess if they're on the clock, then the longer it takes, the more money they make. So maybe they are. Let's go. Right, what we've got. So, according to Wang, the commingling of funds between the companies grew over time. In 2020, Bankman-Fried instructed Wang to keep Alameda's negative balance under FTX revenue. Alameda's negative balance rose as did its credit line with FTX. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So let's just skip through this. Prosecutors also highlighted the mobile coin exploit in 2021 to conceal the loss from FTX investors. Bankman-Fried allegedly told Wang and Ellison to add the deficit to Alameda's balance sheet instead of keeping it on FTX financials. So again, market manipulation and all the rest of it there. Another key revelation was that the FTX insurance fund had manipulated data, said Wang. In the months before FTX collapsed, Bankman-Fried, Wang and Singh discussed the possibility of shutting down Alameda and replacing it with other market makers. At the time, however, the company's liabilities to FTX stood at 14 billion. No, not much. In November 2022, Alameda ceased operations. Wang is also cooperating with prosecutors. His testimony, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Yeah, so Wang is basically, hey, there's Rao, hey Dim. Yeah, Wang's giving you a whack. Yeah, not good, huh? Not good. But, you know, it's all that glitters is not gold, as they say. And I'm a big believer in people will always get their comeuppance. So always treat people the way you like to be treated yourself. That's what I always say. So let's have a look. What else we got? So this was a little day ago. Yeah, that's fine. I've seen that. Okay. I saw a little YouTube video by. Oh, this is crazy. Yeah, I won't bore you with this. I won't bore you with this. But there was a lady who did. Hey, Tiffany Fong. Tiffany Fong, worth checking out. She's hanging out actually at the SBF trial, and get updates. So check out Tiffany Wong. Let me just go back to here. Oh, there we go. There we go. Tiffany Wong. I thought I was sharing the screen, but obviously wasn't. Yeah. So she's actually going to the trial, I think, by the sounds of it, every single day and reporting on it. So definitely worth listening and checking her out. I'll be doing the same in a nice way, obviously. Yeah, I don't know if I can actually play the video, but it might be worth it. Let me just see if I can. But what I will do, I'm going to have to turn this music down. I forgot I've still got the music blaring away. Have you enjoyed the music in the background? Has it been a bit more interesting? Let me know in the comments. Can I do that? Comments? Hit the like, subscribe, comment below. There we go. Comment below. Do you like the music? Right, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to try and play Tiffany Wang. Do you need to turn the music down? Sorry. There we go. Wow. Probably going. Thank goodness he's still playing that bloody music. Right, here we go. Tiffany. Hopefully this works.
I'm in New York City to watch Sam Bankman-Fried's criminal trial in person. As I've stated before, the trial will not be televised. There are no phones, electronics, or cameras allowed in the courtroom. So I've been going in person every single day to watch the trial, and I'll be posting updates here on YouTube, on Twitter, on Substack, etc. So if you'd like to follow along, feel free to. If not, it's fine. Anyway, last week we saw two of Sam's closest friends, Adam Yedidia and Gary Wong, testify against him. I'm expecting this week to be even spicier though, because we're anticipating Caroline Ellison's testimony. Caroline is the star witness of the Sam Bankman-Fried criminal trial. I might do a totally separate video on Caroline Ellison's backstory and her relationship with Sam Bankman-Fried, but for now, for those of you who don't know, Caroline Ellison was the CEO of Alameda Research, as well as Sam Bankman-Fried's on-again, off-again girlfriend. In this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what SBF has said about Caroline Ellison's state of mind around the collapse, as well as maybe a few things we might expect in her testimony. During one of my in-person interviews, Sam told me that Caroline never actually wanted to be CEO of Alameda. He said that she was not happy as CEO because her life became complicated and unpleasant and stressful, and that she was asked to do a lot more than she ever signed up for, and he then claims that she fucked it up, clearly trying to displace a lot of the blame here onto Caroline Ellison. Sam stated that after the shit show started, the word she used to describe to me how she was feeling was relieved. This sort of sounded alarm bells in my head, so I asked, why was that? Did she feel she was having to conceal a lot? And Sam stated, I think it took a lot of pressure off her in a lot of ways. I don't know if it was so much concealing. I think it was like worrying, and it was like stressful as shit. And all of a sudden there was no risk anymore. Like the risk had happened. And so there's sort of no more risk. And I think coming to terms with the maximally bad outcome from her perspective made everything simpler because it meant nothing worse could happen. And that's my basic sense of where her head is at. So that was Sam's description of where Caroline Ellison's head was at around the collapse. Sam also sent me a bunch of documents while he was on house arrest, and one of the documents included a transcript of Caroline Ellison's allocution, or in other words, the statements she made in court when she was pleading guilty to criminal charges. So I think that looking at this document might actually offer us a little glimpse into what we can expect from her testimony in the coming days. Sorry to cut the video off midway, but I wanted to thank the sponsor of FTX claim boarded by the most crypto. Note that the price that FTX claims have been selling for recently are at the highest they've ever been. Again, I would never tell you what to do with your money, but if you do want to sell or would rather market on YouTube at Claim Executives had implemented special crypto exchange run by Mr. Bankman-Fried. I understood that FTX executives had implemented special settings on Alameda's FTX.com account that permitted Alameda to maintain negative balances in various fiat currencies and cryptocurrencies. In practical terms, this arrangement permitted Alameda access to an unlimited line of credit without being required to post collateral, without having to pay interest on negative balances, and without being subject to margin calls or FTX.com's liquidation protocols. I understood that if Alameda's FTX accounts had significant negative balances in any particular currency, it meant that Alameda was borrowing funds that FTX's customers had deposited onto the exchange. While I was co-CEO and then CEO, I understood that Alameda had made numerous large illiquid venture investments that had lent money to Mr. Bankman-Fried and other FTX executives. I also understood that Alameda had financed these investments with short-term and open-term loans worth several $billion from external lenders in the crypto industry. When many of those loans were recalled by Alameda's lenders in and around June 2022, I agreed with others to borrow several $billion from FTX to repay those loans. I understood that FTX would need to use customer funds to finance its loans to Alameda. I also understood that many FTX customers invested in crypto derivatives and that most FTX customers did not expect that FTX would lend out their digital asset holdings and fiat currency deposits to Alameda in this fashion. From in and around July 2022 through at least October 2022, I agreed with Mr. Bankman-Fried and others to provide materially misleading financial statements to Alameda's lenders. In furtherance of this agreement, for example, we prepared certain quarterly balance sheets that concealed the extent of Alameda's borrowing and the billions of dollars in loans that Alameda had made to FTX executives and to related parties. I also understood that FTX had not disclosed to FTX equity investors that Alameda could borrow a potentially unlimited amount from FTX, thereby putting customer assets at risk. I agreed with Mr. Bankman-Fried and others not to publicly disclose the true nature of the relationship between Alameda and FTX, including Alameda's credit arrangement. I also understood that Mr. Bankman-Fried and others funded certain investments in amounts more than $10,000 with customer funds that FTX had lent to Alameda. The investments were done in the name of Alameda instead of FTX in order to conceal the source and nature of those funds. She then says, "I am truly sorry for what I did. I knew it was wrong, and I want to apologize for my actions to the affected customers of FTX, lenders to Alameda, and investors in FTX. Since FTX and Alameda collapsed in November 2022, I have worked hard to assist with the recovery of assets for the benefit of customers and to cooperate with the government's investigation. I am here today to accept responsibility for my actions by pleading guilty." I personally wasn't able to find this entire allocution publicly online prior to receiving it from Sam, but I think it's very relevant right now because I think it probably offers a glimpse into some of the statements Caroline Ellison might make in court this week. Anyway, I just wanted to make this quick little video of what we might expect from Caroline Ellison's testimony. I might make a separate video just on Caroline Ellison and some of the details of her and Sam Bankman-Fried's relationship, but there's a lot to unpack there. So this was just a quick video before I actually go to bed super early to head to trial tomorrow. So I'll be posting more updates here. I've also posted some excerpts from some of the documents that Sam Bankman-Fried sent me over house arrest, as well as some snippets from our in-person conversations for my paid Twitter and my paid Substack subscribers. So if you're interested in seeing that, feel free to subscribe to me, but you obviously don't have to if you have zero interest in this. So anyway, I love you all so very much. It's going to be a wild week.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm probably going to get blacklisted or something.
Being pounded in somebody's basement, 5 or 6 people.
There we go. Right. Yes. Thank you for that. That was awesome. Definitely check her out. That was very, very helpful. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I lost a little bit of my attention sort of was I lost slightly. I do apologize there. But it's late in the day. It's gone 9 o'clock in the UK time. We've got work and we've got family, we've got kids and all the rest of it. So there's another little video which is quite cool. Again, man, I'm probably going to get serious black marks, I don't know, on YouTube because of this. I'm not sure if you're allowed to do this or not, but you know, it's always interesting watching the videos and hearing the bits and pieces. And obviously, you can read the articles and what have you. But you know, it's just a crazy story. So let's just have a little play of this one. Thanks to the FT. Jeez, it's just crazy. see if this works.
I did not know that there is any improper use of customer funds.
Everybody wanted to find the chosen one, the genius. That person was Sam Bankman-Fried, and the company that he ran was FTX.
FTX is a crypto exchange. Sam was the founder of FTX and the chief executive.
FTX grew in about 3 years, exploded onto the scene, had the backing of celebrities.
FTX is the safest and easiest way to buy and sell crypto. It's the best way to get in the game.
At the heart of this, you have an incestuous relationship between two companies that were supposed to be separate, FTX and Alameda.
There was so much alleged misuse of funds.
It all came crashing down in a matter of days.
When FTX collapsed, I ended up losing $2.1 million.
U.S. prosecutors say this is one of the biggest frauds in American financial history.
Regulators fell for it. Venture capitalists fell for it. Everyone fell for the legend of Sam.
Come in. Watch it. Hit the light. Hit the light.
Sam Bankman-Fried, almost universally known as SBF, or Sam, came from relative obscurity to king of the hill in crypto within just a few short years. He's the son of law professors.
He went to maths camp, he went to MIT, and then after graduating from MIT, he went to Jane Street, which is one of the world's biggest market makers, trading firms.
If you think of Sam Bankman-Fried, you think of curly, messy hair and cargo shorts.
He barely sleeps. He sleeps in the office. He sleeps in a beanbag.
People look for geniuses. They look for the key man. He was like Elon, like Zuckerberg. He was just Sam. He was SBF.
He wasn't at Jane Street for very long. The phrase he used once was neutral but a waste of brain power. He went to work at the Center for Effective Altruism, like a think tank that encourages people to give away lots of their money in certain ways. He was working at the charity during the day and trading crypto all night.
He talks about how he wants to accumulate as much wealth as possible to distribute it to people who need it as fast as he can.
And that's where the idea for Alameda came from, that they were going to get into this market and use sort of traditional finance strategies to make a load of easy money in crypto.
In 2017, Sam founds Alameda Research, which was a proprietary trading firm and market maker.
Imagine it being founded in somebody's basement, 5 or 6 people, college roommates, old friends of Sam from math camp. The prices of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin were different on different exchanges in different countries. If you bought in one and sold in another, you could make money for free because the market was inefficient.
Supposedly, this is where he made enough money to get Alameda Research rolling.
Even at that point, there were people who thought that what they were doing was too risky, so one of their earliest investors walked away. FTX, which is a company that people have heard of, comes out of Alameda. It's basically the same team. 2019, they're talking about, hey, maybe we should found our own exchange.
FTX exploded into the mainstream.
I think we're pretty ambitious about FTX, and certainly we're aiming to become, the biggest crypto exchange.
2021 was the year where FTX really burst onto the scene.
The wider crypto industry was also exploding into the mainstream. At the end of 2020, there was some institutional buy-in, a lot of interest in digital assets like Bitcoin.
It signed a sponsorship deal with Mercedes Formula One. It signed up Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen.
It's not bad. This is big.
It commanded a mainstream awareness that perhaps no other exchange has enjoyed.
He's everywhere. And it's the one that you mention when you're talking about, well, there's a lot of quite sketchy shops out there in crypto. FTX is where they do things properly.
My name is Sunil Kavuri. After graduating from university, I joined Deutsche Bank and worked at JP Morgan Stanley. Over 10 years ago, I left the city. I trade for my personal account as a retail investor. Since 2016 or so, I invested quite a bit into crypto. I had $6-7 million on FTX at the end of 2021. They were promoting it to retail investors and saying, if you want to get in crypto, the safest way to get to crypto is use FTX.
July 2021, FTX closed a funding round of $900 million, which valued the company at the time at about $18 billion.
Within 2 or 3 years, this thing is supposedly worth $32 billion.
The company is worth more than Deutsche Bank was at the time. That is unbelievable.
This is crypto. This is just new.
Investors were incredibly keen to get a piece of the crypto action. It seemed like the market was only going up.
It has investment from a whole bunch of huge names like Sequoia, like Paradigm, Temasek from Singapore. You've got SoftBank, Tiger Global. You've got the Ontario Teachers Pension Fund. Just these huge investors.
And BlackRock. I mean, a traditional finance who are very skeptical about crypto, they invest in FTX rather than finance. So I thought the safest place to park my money was obviously FTX.
Before you know it, he's making comments to the FT saying, oh yeah, at some point I'd quite like to buy Goldman Sachs.
It's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
Got any comments? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
One of the biggest highs for the exchange came in February 2022 when it managed to score a big Super Bowl ad.
What? What do you mean? Hey, that's an expensive cane!
Larry David was the star of the FTX ad.
And then in June, it also secured the naming rights to the Miami Heat NBA Stadium.
In some ways, what made Sam special was the mainstream acceptance.
At one point, he was literally sharing a stage with Bill Clinton and Tony Blair. Something about Sam just drew in really intelligent people. So there's a really important stage in the narrative arc, if you like, for FTX around May 2022. There was a so-called stable coin and an associated crypto, this Terra-Luna pairing that just unraveled in dramatic style. It took down with it lending platforms in crypto, a bunch of trading platforms in crypto. And who was there to pick up the pieces? Sam Bankman-Fried.
FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried discussing his thought process behind offering crypto company bailouts, saying it's, quote, worth incinerating a small amount of money to keep crypto infrastructure going.
He was the lender of last resort and wealthy enough to be able to plug the gap when bits of the industry got themselves into trouble.
It only took a few months, come November, for everything to come crashing down.
On the 2nd of November, CoinDesk raised questions about FTT.
Alameda was listing as an asset very, very large holdings of FTT. The token that is issued by FTX. They control the supply, the equivalent of counting your own stock as an asset on your balance sheet. FTT as a token is not widely held or traded. It's not like Bitcoin.
Alameda, the market making arm that is supposed to be separate from FTX, was holding over $5 billion worth of FTT token. That is a significant figure.
The relationship between Alameda Research and FTX might not be quite what everybody thinks it is. And a lot of the supposed assets that Alameda Research has on its books are actually tokens that are created by FTX out of thin air.
When the CoinDesk article came out, and obviously I feel really stupid now, so saying it, I wasn't too concerned. It focused on the Alameda balance sheet rather than FTX. FTX is an exchange whereby you trade assets. Alameda is a prop hedge fund, totally separate, and they trade their own balance sheet. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. I mean, why would I assume otherwise?
So there's various bits of lending going on here that are backed by these FTT tokens that are only worth something if we all kind of look around the room and agree that they're worth something, but actually they're worth absolutely nothing. They're like loyalty tokens for FTX. They enable you to trade on the platform and get certain discounts. Are they money? That's a huge assumption.
Fantastic
My name is Nicola White. I'm the CEO of B2C2, the principal liquidity provider. We support the institutional trading of crypto.
Just got to be very, very careful.
Retail investors.
Involved with.
Our clients are the largest banks.
I'm not. Talk Crypto is not about tips
we
and
had the
suggestions and
opportunity to work
advice.
with
Really,
Alameda
stay.
earlier in the
Like I said,
year,
I'm not
which we
pretending
had
to be an
turned
expert. I'm
down.
not
You know,
going
we
to
take a
sit
very
and tell you
conservative approach to risk,
miracle
and
by stretch of
they
imagination.
just didn't fit our risk
But
profile.
ultimately, you know, if I can just help one person to sell a Bitcoin, you know, I'll be happy. That's my job done, and we'll have a bit of fun.
Changpeng Zhao, he runs Binance, which is the other really big.
This is interesting.
Global
We might be talking about Binance
exchange.
He tweets that he is going to be selling his holdings or Binance's holdings of the FTT token due to some recent revelations.
And the price of these tokens really starts cratering fast.
This really was the moment that caused widespread market panic.
And that sent the price of FTT absolutely plunging. I was just watching the graph and it was going further and further down.
Binance is one of the major holders other than FTX and Alameda themselves. And we know from the balance sheet of Alameda that value of FTT is kind of integral to the whole financial structure of the Sam Bankman-Fried empire. Very quickly after, the CEO of Alameda, Caroline Ellison, came out and said, we'll buy it.
It kind of smelled a bit funny. Something's going on here. Why do they want to hold the FTT token at a certain level?
If they could keep FTT's price supported, then they wouldn't have to kind of accept that the value of their own assets were falling and that they were potentially insolvent. Then that failed.
Within just a few days, FTX is effectively running out of money.
This is a bank with nothing backing it. If you do not trust that your money is safe, it's very easy for a bank run to develop.
24 hours later on November 7, Sam tweets that FTX is fine and assets are fine.
He was saying right up to the very last minute, FTX was fine, or the FTX US was fine, or this is all just a big misunderstanding.
Insolvency rumors plaguing crypto exchange FTX are being denied by CEO Sam Bankman-Fried after a CoinDesk investigation revealed the balance sheet of FTX sister company Alameda Research was loaded with FTX's native exchange token FTT.
On November the 8th, CZ said that he was going to acquire FTX, which was just completely insane. You've got the head of the world's biggest crypto company saying that he's going to buy his rival's crypto company.
Sam is out in public trying to reassure people, and people have a lot of faith in FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried.
My name is Carol Alexander. I'm a crypto expert. I had a small portfolio of crypto so that I can teach the students what's happening on exchanges. My decision to put funds on FTX was just a personal connection of somebody who met Sam Bankman-Fried, and a lot of people recommended FTX. I first heard about the problems with FTX when I was out in Barcelona at the Quant Minds Congress. It's an annual summit for mathematical finance. Everybody there was really surprised. None of us thought it was going to be serious.
Only takes 24 hours, one day later, for CZ to have a look under the bonnet, look at the books, and actually decide that no, he's not going to buy FTX.
And meanwhile, inside the company, people would describe just total chaos. Employees are quitting left, right, and center. Sam is trying to kind of steer the sinking ship.
The events unfolded very, very quickly. We tried to withdraw some funds from the exchange, and those withdrawals weren't processed.
FTX suspends withdrawals, and in a memo to his employees, SBF says that they're trying to raise funds.
It was when he stopped withdrawals. That was the biggest thing. I thought, shit, there's something wrong here.
You have hedge funds, you have various market participants in crypto saying, yeah, Sam, can't get my money back here. I wasn't giving you this money. I was just trading through you. I didn't realize that you were going to take these funds away from me.
We had about 9 million of assets on FTX leading up to the time in which they suspended withdrawals. We felt comfortable that we could absorb the losses if 1 or 2 or 3 exchanges go down.
On the day that FTX, stopped paying back its customers, which is effectively the day it's collapsed, that morning, major sophisticated investors in crypto were still telling me, safe as houses, it cannot go down.
What was going through my mind was, first and foremost, how do we mitigate the risk to the firm? And then, secondly, what are the knock-on effects for the market, right? People having their cash tied up at FTX meant, they weren't in the same financial position as they might have been.
Ultimately, I'm guilty of it.
I ended up losing $2.1 million US.
We shouldn't any of these exchanges.
I think Sam probably still thought that FTX could be salvaged, but of course he was wrong. FTX files for bankruptcy in New York, and Sam resigns as chief executive.
I've never seen anything unravel in that sort of space of time before.
It's had a significant effect on my life. I couldn't sleep and eat properly for at least few weeks. It was just basically stolen overnight. It's been difficult.
On November the 12th, there are reports that at least $1 billion worth of FTX's customer money has disappeared. Since then, that number has grown There's an alleged $8 billion hole of customer money that is just missing, unaccounted for.
I don't think we've given up on the possibility of getting funds back, but we have written them down from an accounting perspective.
I filed a class action lawsuit, so I was the lead plaintiff, the international plaintiff, against all the people who profited and enabled the alleged fraud, the celebrity promoters. I felt that I had to do something. Thankfully, I've had a supportive wife, and it kept me going. Mentally, I've been probably more difficult, I would say.
After FTX files for bankruptcy, Sam is still in the Bahamas, where he lives and where he was running FTX from. He started to tweet a lot.
He's out there tweeting long threads trying to explain what happened and how desperately he's trying to work to get customers' money back and how sorry he is.
All the talk online is, when are they going to arrest this guy? But in this intervening period, Sam Bankman-Fried hits the media circuit hard.
After apologizing profusely on Twitter, he talks to the New York Times, he talks to Good Morning America.
I did not know that there is any improper use of customer funds.
He eventually talks to the FT as well.
His message is absolutely consistent. He says over and over again, I fucked up. And I'm really sorry.
Yes,
and I didn't mean to do anything fraudulent. Have I done something fraudulent? I didn't mean to do anything fraudulent. You can just imagine his lawyers tearing their hair out like, please, Sam, for the love of God, will you shut up and stop talking to journalists?
There were a number of things I was paying close attention to in terms of trading volume and revenue and liquidity. I wasn't in terms of balances or positional risk.
Sam gave us an interview shortly before he was arrested. He said to me, okay, how about 3 o'clock in the morning? He starts out sitting, looking normal at a camera, but he's always moving. He's kind of shifting around. The camera angle's changing. He's moving his laptop. He's giving this interview from his bed. You would ask him questions that you would think are pretty straightforward. Every answer starts with, I'm not sure, I don't have access to this, I don't have access to that.
Let me take a step back. There may be discussions I don't know about. I do remember that there were some discussions around Alameda's position. I don't remember numbers from those. I don't remember numbers being said. I'm not sure they weren't. Yeah, I think that's all I got.
He was trying to manage the FTX narrative in a way that really put his apology at the forefront.
But at no point is he saying this was fraud or this was on purpose. It's just one big mistake. It's just one huge misunderstanding.
This is just not how anybody ever behaves when they are in the kind of legal position that Sam was. You do not talk to the press, and any lawyer would tell you that.
Finally, on December the 12th, Sam Bankman-Fried is arrested in the Bahamas. Initially, he resists extradition.
The conditions in the jail of the Bahamas are notoriously difficult.
He didn't really want to be extradited to the United States, but I think after a short period in jail in the Bahamas, that idea became a little bit more appealing to him.
He was flown to the U.S.
Come on. You got it, Sam.
He appeared before a judge. He's pleaded not guilty.
They raise a $250 million bail for him to effectively go and sit in his parents' house in California for as long as it takes until this goes to trial.
He is charged with 8 counts by the Southern District of New York, which includes wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, campaign finance violations.
The SEC and the CFTC, who are 2 major regulators in the States, have also brought charges against Sam. There is a future where Sam potentially spends the rest of his life in prison. This company is really unlike any other.
FTX didn't have a board. There were no adults in the room. There was no one overseeing what was going on inside.
No risk management procedures. They didn't have the corporate structure perhaps people would conventionally imagine.
Port's empire, including Alameda, the various arms of FTX, were all kind of being run from a very small inner circle of people close to Sam Bankman-Fried.
Right in the middle of the circle is SBF, and he ran the show.
Then you've got Caroline Ellison, who was chief executive of Alameda Research.
SBF and Caroline had an alleged on-off romantic relationship for many months. They shared the same penthouse apartment in the Bahamas, lived together, worked together, were super, super close.
She has since resigned and pleaded guilty to fraud charges and is cooperating with law enforcement in the States.
And then you've got Sam Trabucco, who was the co-head of Alameda Research alongside Caroline until summer when he resigned. And he ran the trading strategies at Alameda for a while.
And you then have Gary Wang, Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of not only FTX, but also Alameda Research. This, speaks to the incestuousness, essentially, of both companies that were meant to be separate.
And him and Sam go way back. They went to maths camp together, and then they were also college roommates when they were both at MIT.
Gary Wang is also cooperating with law enforcement in the States after pleading guilty to fraud charges.
And then you've got Nishad Singh, who was also very close to SBF.
He shared multiple apartments with Sam. Again, this speaks to the fact that both Alameda and FTX, which were meant to be separate companies, really in many ways weren't.
They lived together, they ate together, they did whatever else it is together. Everything was financed through FTX, the fast food, the grocery deliveries.
When I was in the Bahamas, I spoke to a person who worked for a food delivery company, and they'd be ordering maybe $500 worth of takeout every night.
It was just sort of free-flowing money, getting Amazon packages flown in from Miami, nights out and beach resorts.
If you're a nerd and you're working with a bunch of other nerds and you're changing the world through sheer nerdery, you feel pretty powerful.
No one outside the inner circle knew really what was going on. There was only a handful, maybe 5 or 6 people at the top who knew the inner workings of FTX and Alameda and the crossover there.
Everything that happened with FTX and Sam really highlights the need for a distributed management structure. No one person should be able to make every decision about a company. And also there should be multiple layers of governance within a company.
It's not just crypto traders, large and small, that have lost. Venture capital firms, professional investors that had helped get FTX off the ground have had to write down their investments, some of them worth, hundreds of millions of dollars, down to a big fat zero. The one that everyone thinks of is Sequoia Capital. There are VC firms and there are VC firms. Sequoia is a very serious VC firm, and it went to the effort of posting on its website an article running to 13,800 words talking about what a genius Sam is, how he has the status of legend. All of these venture capital investors say, look, we're as surprised as everybody. We did the due diligence on FTX. How?
There's a great attraction for big institutions to go into crypto, although it's high risk. It can be very high returns, particularly when the odds are stuck in your favor. Their balance sheets are so large that they can afford to take risks. They don't need to do the due diligence. They just need to get in there early.
They write down the investment. The people who get hurt are the retail investors. You can't write down, I'm going to write down $2.1 million, okay? Yeah. And then the other guy is like, come on.
Many institutional investors, parked due diligence essentially over FOMO.
The fear of not being part of this new technology, people are calling it like the new internet. That probably propelled some of these investors to not look deep enough and just say, hey, take my money.
It's also possible, some investors were turned away because they were asking questions that FTX didn't want to answer. When you have a lineup around the block of other investors who are ready to write your check today, you don't need to go with the investor who's asking difficult questions.
One big VC investor, Chamath Palihapitiya, says that he was approached about putting some money to work in FTX. And he said, okay, look, this is interesting. There's a few things we'd want you to do differently. We'd want you to have a board. We'd want you to have some sort of oversight. And he says the response from FTX was, quote, go fuck yourself. Backing from really big name venture capital firms, really big name investors really matters because it pulls in other people. It pulls in the hedge funds. It pulls in the retail traders.
FTX's auditors were not in the big four, but they were Armanino and Prager-Metis in the US, and Armanino is one of the top 20 accounting firms in the US by revenue. And the fact that they didn't catch on to any of this, it just shows a complete failure.
Auditing crypto is really difficult. You have various tokens that are worth whatever it is the company says that they're worth. The big name auditors are generally too nervous to get involved in this space.
It's really incumbent on these crypto exchanges and these other crypto companies to convince big time auditors that they should lend their legitimacy to these companies. And, until that happens, these legacy issues of transparency and safety of customer funds, they're going to persist.
We have filled out more due diligence questionnaires in the last 10 weeks than probably we did in the year before that. But I think that's a really good thing, right? I think it's really good that the counterparties and the clients that we're facing and are diving into details. They're understanding the risks that they're taking. We really need to work to build up that level of trust back in the industry. But I'm very, encouraged by the fact that people are taking the time to do it.
There's also the question of regulation with crypto. Regulators don't know entirely how and what to do with it, how to classify it.
Unfortunately, it's taken a catastrophic collapse of one of the biggest companies in the industry to prompt regulators to start thinking seriously about what they should do to protect consumers.
It shouldn't be forgotten that FTX were very close to getting CFTC regulation. They'd applied. They had an excellent margin model that took account of very high margin requirements and were not going to allow their customers 100 times leverage. Binance even offers 125 times leverage on some products in some jurisdictions. So FTX was a completely different animal. This is FTX US to Binance.
FTX International, which is the main part of the business, it's much bigger than the US business, and is where the problems seem to have come from, along with Alameda, is based in the Bahamas, which has a tailor-made regulatory regime that they rolled out for digital assets.
They see this industry that's booming, and they don't want to miss out.
It's just not the kind of thing that could happen if these companies were being regulated as tightly as companies that perform equivalent functions in major financial markets.
Regulators are so far behind. There's a lack of knowledge and a lack of resources. These exchanges, they call themselves self-regulated, which basically means not regulated at all. There will come a time when regulators eventually get their act together and they stop platforms like Binance operating as shadow banks, their own blockchain, NFT marketplaces, limit order books, brokerage, custody, and clearing and settlements. I mean, how do you regulate something like that? It's got to stop.
We want to partner with regulators to create a framework that is fit for purpose for crypto and digital assets.
Regulations.
Having worked in traditional finance for a fairly long period of time, I think it's important that we don't try to pigeonhole crypto and digital assets into that existing regulatory framework.
As soon as you regulate something, just like with the venture capital firms, that is stamp of approval. This thing has some sort of regulatory oversight. It's safe. I can put my money to work here. That's not a kind of indemnity that regulators and governments have wanted to give to crypto.
Sam was really at the forefront of lobbying Democrats in the US, talking to regulators and lobbying them to change the crypto regulatory landscape.
The money that was flowing into FTX, some of this money has ended up as political donations. A lot of this is to the Democratic Party, and so
basically Sam Bankman-Fried was paying regulators, paying government officials, paying congressmen, congresswomen to get influence and get regulations that suited him. So so that's going off on a bit of a tangent, but we'll keep on top of what's happening in terms of the trial and all the latest news. Listen, my beer is empty and it's getting late, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But listen, guys, if you have watched this through to the end, I sincerely thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and really excited to if you're one of the early ones, you're literally helping build the foundations of this new community. And like I said at the very, very beginning, this is about you guys. I want to be getting you guys on the show, and we can do that literally. Or if you don't want to come on the show, blank out your face and just talk. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me, your opinion. We're going to be getting some actual guests and experts, industry experts, on the show to talk about things and topics. But this is a show for you, and it's more than just the usual hot air. Yes, comment below and we can have an interaction and live conversation in the chat. But you can actually come on the show and share some views and tell us why we're right, tell us why we're wrong, tell us why we're idiots or whatever. So I'm really excited to start building this. It's going to take a while to get to that point because obviously you need good numbers to get the traction. But you're hoping build the foundations to something which is going to be really fun and yeah, welcome to the first show. So I'll love you and leave you, and I'll see you guys soon. In fact, I'll see you tomorrow.